Do you want to protect your paycheck or your source of income? Well, if something happens to you where you aren't able to work because you got sick, you got an injury, you had a mental disability, the only type of way that you can protect your income is if you have disability insurance. Why am I talking about this today? Well, May is designated as Disability Insurance Awareness Month. It was established by LIMRA, which is a big organization that kind of helps create awareness and training for insurance agents in the insurance industry. So how does disability insurance work? Disability insurance will pay you a percentage of your income, and generally it's income tax free. If it's set up properly, the way most plans are set up, you're going to receive basically the equivalent of your paycheck. How long will the payments last? Well, it depends. There's different type of insurance programs that you can have access to. Some are long-term, so if you become disabled at any point in your life, it could actually carry you all the way through retirement age. I've actually even seen people that were in their 80s working as professional engineers or some other specialized skill, and they were still employed and they were still wanting to work, and they actually had disability insurance coverage. So it could be whether you're young, middle-aged, or even in what would be assumed a retirement age, but you can have disability insurance if you're working and you have a need for it. How long will the payments last? So back to the point of it depends. You can have short-term disability, which can kick in right away, and it could cover you for a period of either 7 days, 14 days, a month, or even as much as 90 days. It depends on how the policy is constructed. Then there's also long-term insurance. Now, long-term disability insurance, LTD, generally is going to pick up where the short-term disability insurance stops. So long-term disability insurance will kick in normally somewhere around either 30, 90 days. 90 days is really the sweet spot, or it could be designed to be at 6 months. So the way that you would want to position this coverage, it really depends. If you have the wherewithal in terms of the financial resources where you have 6 months worth of savings, you could generally be well protected by having a long-term disability policy that kicks in after you've gone through your resources. Also, other sources that you could use could be PTO or sick time, things of that nature, so that you could delay using your disability insurance if that were to be the situation. So what type of disabilities does disability insurance cover? It covers a great deal of them. I've seen it kick in for disability due to an injury or an illness, mental health. I've seen it used quite often in maternity, where somebody is recuperating and they use their PTO, and then they use a short-term disability that will carry them, up to 6 to 8 weeks, depending upon when they need to return back to work. Could be something that happened to you. Generally, it's going to be off work. So you're playing basketball, you sprain your ankle, and it's pretty serious. Or you're in a car accident, you're hiking, you're surfing, you're camping. It doesn't really matter. You become injured, then you're going to have a legitimate claim. You could also have some kind of an illness. I remember my wife one time, she had sinus surgery, and so because of it, she couldn't work. She couldn't go to work. So it was important for it to kind of help supplement her income at that time. Now, some disabilities could be temporary, and then some may be permanent. It depends. So it could be an injury, it could be an illness, could be anything. And so disability insurance is going to be one of the main things that you could have to help protect your financial stability, to maintain your cost of living. So how do you get disability insurance or review the options that you have available? A lot of people might work for a large corporation that may offer long-term disability as a benefit at no cost to the employee. And you may have the option to maybe enhance it. So generally, the long-term disability is going to normally provide you about 60% of your income. It's pretty standard. So generally, the long-term disability is going to kick in again. Normally what I see is about 90 days after a disability, sometimes 6 months. It really does depend on how the benefit is structured. And generally speaking, when you work for a corporation that offers disability insurance, there's long-term disability, LTD, or STD, short-term disability. And so the short-term disability generally is a voluntary base, and an employee would select that plan. And depending upon what the options are, generally it could start after a week, or immediately. It just kind of depends. And again, short-term disability is going to last somewhere between 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. It's going to provide a bridge basically to get you to the long-term disability. Now, hopefully it's nothing serious and you can recover and be back to work in no time. No problem. But if it is, then you'll have the long-term disability that can kick in and provide additional resources, additional income for you to maintain your lifestyle. So what happens if you don't work for an organization that doesn't provide it? This is something that you can get on your own. You can also ask HR to see if they're considering options. They can be on a voluntary basis where you can pay for it, or you can search the market. You can work with an agent that can kind of go over options for you and design it. Generally, the cost is going to depend. There's going to be a lot of factors that come into play in terms of like what the disability insurance could cost. If you're a high income earner, there may be limitations, or you may need a certain amount of coverage. If you're kind of a rank and file or just average income, you can get a policy that again can help you maintain your lifestyle. You can have a short-term disability or you can have a long-term disability, and there is a market available where you can find different individual policies that you can get on your own. So if you're self-employed or if you work for a smaller company that just doesn't provide it, you can get this policy on your own. So what else can you use to replace your income? So generally speaking, there's really not a lot other than your PTO, sick time, or maybe your savings. Having an emergency savings is going to be important if you become you get a disability, whether it's short-term or long-term. But then once that's depleted, that's pretty much it. Now, there is also Social Security disability income, which you would have to apply and qualify. It's not an easy process, but that is an option that can be helpful. Also, depending upon how much work you have under your belt in terms of like the amount of income that you have or earned or accumulated, the amount of income that you might qualify for may vary depending upon your income or what you've paid into it. I hope this was helpful. Again, just wanted to share disability income. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Happy to assist.